Well, that's the first time, actually the second time I've ever played Auld Lang Syne. Welcome to a very special edition of a Shinn Show. Joining me, son Nicholas and daughter Sarah from Omaha. Hello.
Hello.
Hello,
Again.
salam, and good evening.
Yes, indeed. Well, so let's start as we always do. How was your week?
It was good. It's fine. I just worked.
Okay, you worked. Sarah, you did not work.
No, we went out of town to Des Moines and did some fun things. We stayed at a hotel, so there was a pool and a hot tub, which would have been nice in and of itself, but we went go-karting, and then we went to an indoor trampoline park. And what else did we do? We went to the movies, did some shopping.
All right.
What movie did you see?
Well, let's save the movie. Let's save it.
It's a surprise.
It's a surprise for the pop culture.
A surprise.
Oh, I'm so excited about it. Because I also saw a film that I'm anxious to talk about. But not now. It's too soon.
Right. It's not time.
It's premature.
I mean, whatever. It's not strict.
No, it's not. But so
we run a loose ship over here.
Oh, very loose. So was the go-karting thing outdoors or indoors?
It was indoors.
Yeah.
It was electric go-karts. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, electric go-karts does sound cool. It sounds also, a lot less, what's the word I'm looking for? Smoky. I mean, if you got an indoor go-kart thing and you got, you're running on some two-cycle gas engines, I would think that the danger from asphyxiation would be pretty strong.
It's carcinogenic. It's a carcinogenic affair when you have that
Yes.
situation.
Potentially fatal, too, depending on the ventilation situation.
Circulation.
Oh, yeah. But you didn't have to worry all that. It was all electric.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No worries. Johnny did crash into a wall, though.
But it's designed for that, right?
Mostly. He went underneath all the stuff that's supposed to stop you from, crashing into an actual wall.
And crashed into the wall.
He's fine.
Yeah.
He was fine.
At what speed?
I don't know.
Well, that's true. I suppose
A decent one.
Yeah, we didn't.
So there was an S curve, right? So you went around one corner real sharp, and then there was immediately another corner.
Right.
He didn't make the corner.
Got it. Well, that's sad right there.
And as it has been noted, Johnny's not very familiar with the concept of driving.
Right.
Period. So there was a bit of a S curve and a learning curve.
Both of which he missed.
Well, I don't know. I think he might have gotten on the learning curve after running head into a wall. Sometimes.
Yeah. He did go much slower after that.
Right.
So
sometimes those are the best lessons. Well, good. Sounds like you had a good time then. All indoors because it's cold as balls in Des Moines.
Dude, it was so cold. Although I do think it was colder in Omaha than it was.
Not on Christmas.
You don't think so?
Dude, it was raining. It was fucking, there was not a drop of snow on the ground. It was
warm. Like that. Well, we left Christmas Day and it was nice and warm-ish, but when we got back to Omaha Friday, it was freezing.
Yeah, by Friday, yeah.
But I heard you guys got a blizzard.
No,
not really. It petered out before it hit us.
Oh, got it. Okay, it was a false alarm.
Yeah.
It just rained a lot because the temperature dropped, and then that snow front came in and just froze all the water.
Ooh.
Omaha doesn't really. I mean, we're almost too close. We're too far north to get a lot of the weather, and too close to the river. It's too humid. So we miss a lot of that.
Well, wow, what a garden spot Omaha is. Not everyone knows that.
And if you did, good for you.
Yeah, exactly. Good for you. Well, all right. Sounds like a swell week. I only had one day of work and I enjoyed that. And then, so I'm on my last legs of really the winter break, if you will. And I'm glad I had this time. Don't you think I sound better rested?
Yeah, I mean, sure.
You definitely sound more enthused.
Well, that's important. Enthusiasm is important for sure. So it wasn't really a particularly heavy news week, all in all. I mean, the big
Which
news
is a good thing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the big news stories. There's still some fallout from the announced withdrawal from Syria, but that's old news really at this point. And then the government remains, parts of the government, not all of the government, parts of the government remain shut down. About 800,000 federal workers. They're still without a paycheck. So that's kind of a big deal for them, obviously.
I did read that Trump signed some executive order to stop federal pay increase.
Yes, that's right. No civilian employees, no civilian federal employees will get a raise unless Congress specifically authorizes one, which they probably will. They'll probably authorize a 1% raise. But federal government employees have become frequent punching bags, political punching bags. The idea is that somehow federal government employees are overpaid and don't work enough. And there are
Yeah, it's usually quite the opposite.
well, there are specific federal employees who are lazy. Just as in any company, you're going to find people who are lazy. But to say that the entire workforce is overpaid and doesn't do enough, I think
That's kind of a sweeping generalization.
Yes, paints with too broad a brush in my experience. But in any event, so yeah, that's something that happened. And then the other thing that happened is that incoming Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, representing one of the districts in New York, and outgoing Senate Democrat from Missouri, Claire McCaskill, have gotten into some sort of TV/Twitter beef with McCaskill saying, I guess she's the new thing, and she hasn't really done anything yet, and she's a shiny new object. And then Representative-elect Ocasio-Cortez responding with, hey, I don't know what she thinks she's doing, but ultimately they rejected her, the voters of Missouri, despite her promise to go along with everything Trump said. They still rejected her. And progressive ballot measures in Missouri, most of them won. So there's a beef between those two, but who cares? Because Claire McCaskill, she's out. Ocasio-Cortez, in. Of course, as a freshman congressman, it's going to be hard for her to make much of a difference. She's a freshman. It's tough.
Right.
She's frosh.
She's just a baby.
Well, you know what happens to freshmen? Oftentimes they find themselves locked in their own lockers. That's true in Congress as well.
I knew there were bullies.
There are. Those mean old chairmen of the appropriations committees and ways and means and shit like that. Yeah, they'll just take those the freshmen, and they'll give them noogies and all that kind of stuff.
Give them the old swirly dirly.
Right. It's a rough place, Congress.
The old supersonic wedgie.
Oh my gosh, that's the most embarrassing and painful.
You don't want that one, especially when they broadcast it on live TV.
So embarrassing. So embarrassing. Anyway, so that's about it for news, man. Not that much. Although, you know what is coming out this week? What's coming out this week is all of the top 10 from the last year. That's what's coming out. Or the top, your top lists.
Right.
So,
I did just read a top 10 something. Top 10 board games, maybe.
All right. So
top 10 board games? Is that what you said? What is there, new ones?
Yeah, every year.
Ugh.
Yeah, there's all kinds, dude.
Board games are big nowadays. It's like a renaissance of tabletop games. Yeah.
I bought a new board game this year for Christmas.
And what was that?
It was called Azul, and I've played it several times with Elsie and Bradley.
Did you get the new one or the old one?
Well, I
Did
don't
you
know.
get Azul or the revamped Azul?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. It looked like.
Is it like okay? Are there windows involved? Are there like stained glass windows involved, or is it just the tiles?
It's just tiles.
Yeah, that's the old one.
Well, it seems just fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
No, it's not bad. I was just asking if you got version 1 or version 2.
There's an Azul too?
Yeah.
Now I feel like I'm behind the
came out
times.
this year.
Huh.
So what is Azul for the people who don't know?
It's a pretty simplistic tile game. Okay, and what it is the conceit is that you're some sort of tile layer in Portugal.
Like making mosaics.
Yes,
Okay.
making
All
mosaics. Right. And so basically what you do is you draw these tiles and you put them out in these round little things they're described as factories. And you pick tiles and you put them on your tile preparation space. And then you move them over to the wall. And then you get points based on how many tiles you move over and where they're located. And the
colors and the patterns and those
sounds like a riot.
Right, exactly. It's very sedate. It's very easy. Once you learn how to play, it's very easy to play. It passes the time wonderfully. It's pretty. It's tactile. It's a fun game.
Tactile.
Yes, because you're feeling all the tiles. You're putting your hands all over them.
Is that what tactile means?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Touchable.
Yes.
Touchably.
Yeah, so I recommend Azul to my patients who chew gum.
To your what?
It's an old advertising slogan. 9 out of 10 dentists recommend Dentine to their...
Reprimand.
Reprimand their... 9 out of 10 dentists talk well, unlike myself. 9 out of 10 dentists recommend Dentine to their patients who chew gum. It's an old advertising slogan.
Like Wax used to say, you must be 9 out of... No, wait, no. Your girl must be 9 out of 10 dentists because she always recommends Oral-B.
Classic.
You're so pleased with yourself.
Throw that one in there. You don't get to shoehorn that into every conversation. You know what I mean?
It's true. You sure don't.
You got to wait for it organically.
Right.
I mean, how many times do you hear 9 out of 10 dentists in a conversation? Not many.
Only when I bring it up, generally speaking. Anyway, so Azul's a good game. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so the new Azul apparently addresses some of the issues that can arise when you've played the original a bunch of times. So apparently it becomes pretty like you can figure out the flow of the game if you play it enough. And so the new one basically adds more chance in. So basically if you go first, because you pick the color of tiles, right?
Yeah.
And then the other person has to take all the tiles.
Yeah.
So if you go first, you have some sort of advantage. I'm not clear exactly on how.
You can.
She's not pro yet. She's not a big league Azul player.
Right. But the newer version, instead of stacking tiles onto a wall, you're making stained glass windows, and there are some mechanics in place to help make it more randomized and less heavy-handed towards the first player.
Let me ask: Did you discover this game, Sarah, at Spielbound?
How
do you know about this shit?
Well, yes and no. My friend Danielle introduced it to me, but it is at Spielbound.
All right, so
Spielbound, by the way, is this place in Midtown Omaha where it's just you show up, you pay $5 to be there for the day, and you fucking play board games.
It's a board game cafe.
It is.
And on top of that, they got beer.
You can't beat that. And coffee for those of us who do not consume alcoholic beverages, which is nice.
Cider.
And
damn
cider.
Good cider.
I meant so that's coffee. Spielbound.
Cider came out.
You know what? You know who could really benefit from a concept like that? Our sponsor, Ziff's, a fine dining establishment in Invercargill, New Zealand.
I mean, I'm not sure how much room they have for board games in their, gimmick of serving. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure how much they don't.
Yeah, you're right.
And let's not rule it out.
The tattoo
You're being
parlor.
a glass half full kind of guy.
That's right.
The cafe, the Ziff's and the Throne Room Tattoo can purchase a building in the middle together, and open up this cafe.
Now that's smart thinking. You go in there, you have some fine dining, you play some fucking board games, drink some cider, and then after you're nice and sauced up, you go and get a regrettable tattoo.
It's a perfect business plan.
A well done regrettable tattoo.
Right, exact. Tasteful, obviously.
Good quality.
High quality.
Regrettable tattoo.
Have you seen the tattoos from the Throne Room in Invercargill, New Zealand?
I've seen one.
Quite outstanding. It was quite outstanding.
I wish I could remember the name of the specific artist at Throne Room Tattoo in Invercargill, New Zealand, that made that piece. I don't, but he did a good job.
He sure did.
It's a picture of a native woman in a headdress, like a half sleeve. But the description is, I just told the guy I wanted a girl in a headdress, and he just ran with it.
I'll tell you what, you can't pay for that kind of initiative. You know,
it's Keith Clifford. Heath Clifford.
Shout out to Heath Clifford at the Throne Room in Invercargill, New Zealand. The place to get a tattoo after you've had a nice meal from Ziff's in Invercargill, New Zealand.
I know you're listening too, Ziff's. We'll be expecting our fine dining in the mail.
Right. So anyway, what was I saying? I can't remember now.
What do you think? Is there any kind of indigenous food to New Zealand? Do they have
probably all kinds.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they have an indigenous population, so I imagine they have
Kiwis, right?
Yeah. Well,
that's what they're called, right?
No, they're called
Maori,
natives.
I think.
Maori.
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 Maori, Maori.
I'm just being incredibly ignorant right now.
Yeah.
But look, all I want to know is what the native cuisine of New Zealand is like.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, you could ask the same question of America. What's America's native cuisine?
Burgers and hot dogs, baby.
Well, with apologies to the Native Americans, right? I mean,
well, they could have made burgers and maybe not hot dogs, but they could have formed meat into the shape of a hot dog.
I think it's closer to Mexican cuisine, honestly. A lot of corn-based products.
You don't know.
We could have made some bison burgers.
You don't know.
Maybe not as I don't know. It's pure speculation.
Right. The first Thanksgiving, though, could have been a cookout. In fact, it probably was a cookout.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how big they were on indoor cooking facilities at that point.
It's the grinding that was the issue. You know what I mean? The grinding of the meats.
Yeah,
To-
they didn't have the tools
to form
the
a
meat
paste.
grinders.
Again, y'all don't know that.
Well, yes, we do.
I'm pretty sure no one has found some sort of colonial era meat grinder. Well, maybe they have actually.
Well, not
I don't know that.
not in a Native American tribe, though. Probably
No, certainly not.
no.
Why, they
Circa
have no
1580.
that kind of
It's
shit.
not like they're going to have a metallic meat grinder to grind meat.
Maybe a wooden one though.
Have you ever tried to grind meat with one? Me either.
Have you?
No.
Exactly. So
know
we don't
what?
know. All right. Maybe if you shave the points and do a fine enough tip, and the craftsmanship-
Meticulously.
yeah, meticulously, and all the wheels cog
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Perhaps it wouldn't be good for that long though.
No.
Wood does warp with moisture.
Sure does.
You probably get good 5 years out of that,
Yeah.
and then you got to throw it away.
Or less. Anyway, so point is, Azul, good board game. Recommend it. I do. Yeah, we've played it several times over the past week. So that's what my week. A lot of board games, a lot of dog walks, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
and so on. You've been working a lot, I know that. So that's really the news. That's all that fits. Just those couple of things, not that much. Not much going on. A couple of rocket launches. I can't remember all of them, but a couple of rocket launches. Good for them. Let's go Rockets.
Who's got rocket launches?
They had some over the last week. I know SpaceX launched a GPS-3 satellite for the Air Force.
Yeah, they do that every other weekend, though, right? Just launch shit into space.
Well, they did have a record-breaking launch year this year. I think they launched 20 rockets successfully and re-landed like 6 of them. So don't quote me on that. I would have to look it up. Who's got time for that? But SpaceX had an incredible year. They did.
Yeah, yeah, they're doing good. They got all the top people around the world. It's not like a national thing. You know what I mean? How NASA is the American, and then Russia's got whatever the fuck they call theirs. SpaceX,
Roscosmos.
being founded by a guy from South Africa who's purely interested, I assume, in just having the strongest minds available to him working at his company, fosters a more, diverse environment.
This is all speculation also.
I mean diverse in the way that, like, it doesn't matter where you're from, just smart people get to work there.
You would
So
think
their
that.
success rate would understandably be higher.
You would think that, but it's hard to say. I mean,
It is hard to say.
how would that be
That's
different though
all
from
speculation.
how would that be different from Virgin Galactic or Blue Origin or any number of these other companies? I don't think it would be
What
different.
are those?
They're other private space companies.
Oh, I really didn't know that there were private space companies.
There's all kinds.
SpaceX is private.
SpaceX is a private company.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that was the only one.
No,
there
it's
was
not.
NASA and then SpaceX.
I'm expanding your mind today, son.
Yeah,
Between
I
the
didn't know shit about space.
well, obviously
Company.
Sarah and I are expanding your mind. She had the whole Maori thing, and I'm telling you, there's several private space companies, and it's not just
Welcome into the fold.
right.
We're very enlightened here.
yeah, not just entertaining, but also informative. And some of it's even true, as I said on a tour that I conducted of the Capitol this week. They said, "Oh, you sure had a lot of interesting facts." I said, "Yes, I sure did, and some of them were even true."
I like that.
Yeah. So, in any event, So, what are your top 10 news items? Just your top one, your top news item of the year, if you think about it.
Of the year,
Yeah.
the number one thing that you heard all year that was
Yeah, the number one news thing that blew your mind.
You're going to make us do the top 10 thing, huh?
No, just
blew your mind.
just
Not
the top
10,
one.
We'll do top 3 since there's 3 of us,
Yeah, exactly.
and just one each. I really
Man,
can't think. of shit,
I don't know, man.
the kind of stuff I would mention is just real dark. Like
Like what?
you know,
Like name one dark thing that immediately comes to your mind, just top of mind.
I remember reading this thing. This is actually pretty recently about Saudi Arabia they're waging a war in Yemen.
Yes,
They are notoriously using child soldiers for it.
yes, from Darfur. Yes,
Yeah, and I didn't read the whole article because it kind of made me sick. But the upshot was that American taxpaying dollars are helping the funding of acquiring these child soldiers.
well, in a sense, I mean, we have provided refueling support to the Saudi Air Force, and we've provided special operations support. We've provided support to the Saudis in their fight in Yemen. That is a true statement.
Now, special operations support can mean literally anything, right?
Well,
that could range from many different missions.
It could. It's all very special, though. I mean,
it's all very special, all very classified, all very top secret. All we know is that a selection of the baddest men in the military are sent armed to an unknown location for an unknown purpose.
For an unknown period of time.
For an unknown period of time.
Yes.
Now that seems, I don't know. Oh, how about, all right, this is also recent shit. How about, what was it about Trump? He tweeted some shit about some things that some special operation members were doing, and it was like a severe violation of operational security.
Well, so this was on his recent trip to Iraq for Christmas, right? Trip to the war zone, obligatory. Right. And he accidentally disclosed that he was visiting with members of SEAL Team 5 and accidentally disclosed
their name, their location shouldn't have been.
Yeah, their location was secret.
Yeah, you're not supposed to know that SEAL Team 5 is
that's
there.
Right, exactly. Nor are you supposed to know the names of SEAL Team 5 to shield them and their families
because if you get caught by a hostile government or terrorists, there's no denying who you are and what you do.
Yes, at that point. And also, oh, by the way, it kind of exposes the families of those people as well.
Yeah.
Once their names are out there.
And I was reading comments about it, and there was guys who were like, man, I was in the military, and some guy did some way... I mean, obviously, this is the president, so he gets a little wiggle room. But there's a bunch of people talking about how violation of OPSEC is like, a martialable offense.
Well, it can be court-martialable, but by the same token, I mean, and obviously we don't like it. But generally, here's what I would say, and I'm going to quote Bill Clinton here. Mistakes were made. I don't think anybody did this with malice aforethought. Let's put it that way.
No, of course not. Of course not. Malice aforethought. But, I mean, shit, man. I don't know. I don't know dick about OPSEC, but it seems like I, wouldn't do that. I gotta say, I don't think I would reveal that I was meeting with any special forces, but it's hard to say. I've never been the fucking president in Iraq, so.
True, but you could be someday.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope not.
Well,
like a horrible job.
It's a bright future for you. Anyway, so would you consider that one of the top 10 stories of the year, though?
No, not at all. I'm just kind of rambling. I don't know what
I've been going through my.
Light off me and let one of you guys.
Yeah, I've been going through my saved things on Reddit, which is where I aggregate all my news. Yeah. And it's all very positive and calming, and I don't save shit that pisses me off.
Okay.
Well,
that doesn't, what's a good calming piece of news that you saved this year?
Okay. This puppy has a heart-shaped spot on his head. Would you like to see him?
I would love to see that.
A puppy with I would call that a top 10 news story. Puppy has heart-shaped spot.
Wow, it's very symmetrical. It's crazy. It's very good.
All right.
Very good design the puppy gods did on that one.
Well, I guess here one of the biggest things I heard this year, well, and I can't even swear it was this year. It's been a while, I guess. But basically that we're all doomed. That climate change is happening at increasingly a more dire pace than we thought.
It's fucked, and it's increasing at an unfuckable rate.
Yeah, and that
we can't
not necessarily our generation, but 2 generations from now is gonna be in serious.
Then there's gonna be a food shortage. There's gonna be famine, and then people are going to be very desperate for
weather.
Resources.
It's the weather that's gonna fuck us.
Well, yeah, but think about this now. The weather, if it gets too hot or too cold, the crops are going bye-bye. Yeah. There ain't no crops, there's no livestock. If there's no livestock or crops, then there's no food. Actually, and then when people start to get hungry, they start to act like animals. And when there's mass countries of people acting like animals, riots break out in the street. Now you got to declare martial law to keep order in the streets, but the people are still fucking hungry and they still got guns. So now they're shooting each other and roasting children. And now it's a fucking apocalypse. Now it's apocalypse now, 2018.
I was just
more like 2038. Let's get real.
2038. Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm not that pessimistic, but what I will say is I was just thinking about how Canada stands to benefit big time from global warming. The only thing that keeps Canada from being an absolute paradise right now is the fact that it's so goddamn cold. So you warm that place up a little bit,
right.
It's heaven on earth. I
hear nothing but good things about people who live in Vancouver and
cost of living is kind of high.
The other place, not Ontario.
But that one
And
place,
not Vancouver.
Toronto.
Toronto, yeah.
So
I hear good things about like people who live there. Oh my god, I love it so much. And the people, I always hear about the people. I mean, it's kind of a stereotype how nice Canadians are, but you know,
but it's
I hear
mostly
people
true.
compare living in New York to living in Vancouver, and it's
Yeah,
it's just nicer.
Yeah, I'm sure it's nicer. Although there are serial killers in Canada too.
There's serial killers everywhere.
It's true, but they're in Canada as well. Don't let anyone fool you on that. Anyway, so yeah, climate
Don't let
change.
the Canadian propaganda machine try to fool you into thinking they don't have serial killers. Okay,
Right.
they do.
The elite Toronto-controlled media jamming
The left wing's running their spin right down our throats, talking about, we don't have serial killers. Bullshit, Trudeau. See right through your fucking lies.
Right. I mean, look at Justin Trudeau's eyes. Do you see a soul in there? I'm not sure I do.
No.
I'm not
Black, dark, like pools into the abyss.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
unsettling.
And actually, it is interesting because Canada's fossil fuel industry is very, very robust. I mean, if you talk about the causes of global warming, who says Canada's not behind it? I mean, let's get real.
Yeah. Maybe they're the ones with the giant,
A global warming agenda.
power plants running on clean burning styrofoam 24/7, dotting the landscape.
I wouldn't rule it out. That would be one of the top 10 stories of 2019. Canada unmasked as the
I'm not
culprit
saying
behind
that they're
global
doing
warming.
that, but I'm not saying they're not doing it
How
either.
could you not
okay?
say it? How could you not? We don't have any proof that they're not
Can
doing
you
it.
prove that they're not?
Very difficult. Very difficult to prove a negative. All right. Anyway, so climate change becoming more real every year, according to the bulk of scientific studies. Yeah, that's a story for
And yet we
2019.
still continue to ignore scientists.
Well, it's because the people we don't. But
Well,
the people
no,
who
we
make the
sure don't.
rules, the old people are like, yeah, well, I'm old and I'm rich, so
Doesn't matter.
I would say this, that is one of the big stories of 2018 is the Trump administration's publication and then subsequent poo-pooing of a very significant report on climate change. So that's a significant story from
That's true.
2018. And then another one.
Really, just his whole the Trump administration's whole attitude towards climate change and in general has been pretty big, I would say, in 2018.
Big story. Absolutely. And of course, trying to roll back the regulations on mercury in coal-fired power plants as well. That's an interesting story. So there's big environmental news in 2018, but also just a few other things that might have kind of slid past your checks, as it were. One, hurricanes in North Carolina and in Florida. Those were big. And devastating
big.
fires, devastating wildland forest
And
fires
Texas
in
as well.
California.
right?
No, not to my knowledge.
What happened in fucking Texas? Didn't something happen in Texas?
I think that was the
big ass floods.
Yeah, that
Was
was
the
in
year
2000.
before?
Nah, it seems like 2017.
And Joel Osteen wouldn't open his church to the people.
Yeah, that was 2017.
What?
Yeah.
That wasn't this year?
No, that was
the year before.
Year before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shit.
You need to pay attention, son.
I guess. Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah, so
Okay, whatever. Keep going.
dig this. I read today that 18 trillion gallons of rain fell over the Carolinas from Hurricane Florence, enough to completely fill the Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah, okay, that sounds like a lot, but I also don't know comparatively what their rainfall is like year round. So
17 trillion. Just kidding. It's a lot, though.
Right.
I mean, 18 trillion of anything's a lot. I know that much. I can count that high. So those are big stories.
Can you really?
Yeah, I can. Well, I mean, theoretically, I can grasp.
Have you ever done
let's start now.
Right. And
the Trillion Podcast? Here on this episode, we're going to be counting to a trillion, one by motherfucking one.
Right, so you're going to
Tune
want
in
to
next
just
week for the Quadrillion Podcast.
right.
Incidentally, how did we subscribers?
Oh. Whew. All right, so yeah. Anyway, so then the other big news story, couple of big news stories, is that one, the Democrats retook control of the House of Representatives in November. That's kind of a big deal.
That is a big deal.
And then the other big deal is the conviction of Paul Manafort, former campaign chairman for the Trump campaign.
It's
And
big, but we'll see. We'll wait to see how big that story gets.
It's
More coming in 2019.
more coming in 2019. And I guess that's the kind of the whole thing about the Mueller investigation in 2018. There was a lot of results. A lot of people got indicted, convicted, cooperated. And so the investigation is not over yet and will continue into 2019 with unpredictable results. So to me, there you go. You've got all the news that fits. That's all you need for 2018. What more do you need?
Love is all you need.
Right. That and love. So anyway, so you went to the movies this week. What'd you see, Sarah?
We went to go see Bumblebee.
Ooh, how'd you like it?
If you disregard the fact that Transformers as just a total concept is fucking ridiculous and, it doesn't make any sense, then it was fine.
The fact that talking robots can transform, that's the concept that's...
Okay.
No, there's
Let's
much
break
more
it
to the
down.
concept that's crazy, right? They're an ancient race of what? I've never been clear. Are they people? Are they machines? Are they people machines?
They're an ancient race of sentient machines, yes, that have come from their own...
But
sentient
why
machine
does their
planet.
shit look like our shit?
What do you mean?
I mean, why do their transform
Into humanoid looking
Yeah.
things?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so
Maybe that's because humans are a towering inferno of form and function. Did you ever think about that?
what the fuck does that even?
Does make sense what you just said. A towering
Yeah.
inferno of form and function. I like the sound of it, but it doesn't really make sense. No,
I found
yeah.
this week's podcast title.
I think we can all agree that the Transformers concept is absolutely ludicrous on its face.
Right. So once you disregard, don't even give me that face.
Okay,
Look,
yeah, fine. It's
okay.
ridiculous.
At the beginning of the movie,
Maybe
okay,
that's the most efficient way to walk is bipedally, and they don't. Some of them have more than two arms. And
why is Soundwave a fucking boombox with a cassette deck in his chest?
was that in the movie?
Yes.
In the movie?
Yes.
I remember that being part of the old cartoons.
Well, yes. Okay. So before on Cybertron, before they even go to Earth for the first time.
Oh shit! What? He was
So-
a boombox before they even went to Earth.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
None
That's
of this
fucking
makes any
stupid.
sense.
You know,
That's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Well,
Much
you know
like,
what?
yeah.
Over the course of millions of years, what?
No. No.
There are odds if humans made boom boxes, then why is it impossible for aliens who are millions of years older than us to create something akin to a boom box?
Or akin to a yellow Camaro that looks exactly like every other yellow Camaro built in 1979,
Right.
for example.
Right. Okay. Look. Anyway, the point is that the movie was fine. It seems like they finally tried to gear it more towards kids, instead of trying to make it dark gritty, which
Yeah.
in my opinion usually makes things better.
Yeah.
I'm kind of over the, I got out of the dark gritty when I got out of middle school. So I'm glad that Hollywood's finally catching up.
If it's
Okay.
going to be dark gritty, I want it to be dark and gritty. I don't
Yeah.
want it to be a Transformer movie. I want it to be like people doing fucked up shit.
Like Batman dark gritty was fine.
That was good.
Yeah. I mean, but I also really liked the whimsical Tim Burton Batman,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, that's
That's
like
classic.
almost a completely different genre.
That's what I'm
Genre.
saying, is that some genres suit the dark gritty. Transformers is not one of them, and I'm glad that they're
Batman is
coming
one of
out
those that transcends both.
Yeah,
Be either one.
genre. Transcends genre.
Batman, just like Batman and Robin, can go either way.
That's right. At any time.
The ambiguously
In
gay
any
duo.
place.
All right. Anyway,
So it was fine.
yeah, good. Glad you enjoyed it. It's been blown up on Rotten Tomatoes as to be basically Godfather Part 2.
What?
It's got like a 98% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
I feel like Rotten Tomatoes is kind of like a racket now, like the whole Yelp thing.
Yes.
that it's slowly going to collapse in on itself.
Well, like if that's the standard, that's the metric is
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes. Doesn't that seem like it'd be kind of easy to buy them off then? Like, oh well, Rotten Tomatoes said it's good. Let's go fucking see that. All it would take is for some production. This is all just some crazy ass conspiracy theory that probably isn't true. But I mean, you could easily do it if that's the metric. Then you just go to those fucking people and be like, here's an extra $20,000. And you just make sure it gets above a 90%. And that way we'll make an extra $50,000 or $100 million in ticket sales worldwide.
Well,
Yeah.
I will say that there's a lot of manipulation. You can't trust anything you see on the internet. I read another article on Reddit about a guy who turned his backyard into the #1 rated restaurant on TripAdvisor.
Yeah,
I
that was pretty
saw that
funny.
too. He just asked for good Yelp reviews, and so then he got them. And then, like, for one day, he just fucking
Yeah, it was TripAdvisor, not Yelp, but
Frozen
still.
food, yeah.
Yeah, TripAdvisor, not
Well,
Yelp.
that was the other guy. He was the same guy though that
he
his
makes
way
a habit of
onto
this kind of thing.
Paris Fashion Week,
Mhm.
wearing off-brand jeans or something.
Yeah.
So like he's king of conning his
this
way
guy,
into things.
This guy's good, whoever the fuck he is.
Well, it's not so much that he's good; it's that our tools that we're now using to rate each other are subject to manipulation. What a surprise, right?
Well, I mean, he's smart for
Exposing it. It makes. I'll tell you what. It makes you think twice before you say, "Oh, I want to go to that place." But in any event,
that's why I don't read reviews, man. I don't look at Rotten Tomatoes. I don't go to Yelp reviews.
I try to.
I go there myself and form my own fucking opinion, and there you have it.
Yeah, but how do you decide where to go?
What do you mean?
he just.
I mean, like if you want to try a new Italian restaurant, where do you go?
You go to one you've never heard of before, and then
How
you
do you
fucking
find
try
it?
it out.
how do you
You
find
Google new Italian. You use the internet to a certain extent, like to find its location. But as far as its quality, you need to go there and form your own opinion.
it? Well, I agree with that, but I do say, Nicholas, that I thought that when you say, "Well, I just try places," that it would be kind of like Kane from Kung Fu, where you wander the earth and have adventures. I didn't realize you'd use the internet to direct you.
Kane would have used GPS if he had it.
That's probably true.
You're right. He just didn't have it.
But he still wouldn't want to harm
he
you.
wouldn't have. He just couldn't.
Still would,
Right.
He would still would say, though, "I do not wish to harm you," before he fucked you up.
That's
But
right.
but only if you had it coming. Only if you had it coming.
Only if you didn't back
And he
down.
really didn't want to, so that makes it okay.
Didn't want to.
It didn't want to. So anyway, I saw 2 movies this week. Actually, 3.
Yeah?
That gives you some sense for how much time I had on my hands, which was wonderful.
I saw one too, actually. I forgot.
Oh, good. You want to go first?
No, you go first.
All right. So the one I saw in the theater was They Shall Not Grow Old. I talked about that last week, that I was going to go see it. Well, we went and saw it.
How was that?
It
Was that the World War
Sarah-
II? That was the World War
Yeah.
II memorial, right?
Yeah.
World War One.
One.
World
One
War One.
edited, revamped footage.
That's
Right.
right. Peter Jackson. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Peter Jackson talking about the making of it afterwards more than I did the film itself. I mean,
Really?
you've seen, bits of colorized soldiers, and you've seen 5 minutes of that. You've seen 30 minutes of it. You've seen 30 minutes of it. You've seen 2 hours of it. I mean, that's the
Gotcha.
truth of the matter. So, but I enjoyed him talking about how he did it, why he did it, what his motivation was for doing it. So I would
mean, that's
recommend
the
it.
most interesting part, I would say. I would agree with you there.
But I do recommend it. I mean,
Yeah.
also, it was the film itself was exclusively focused on the experience of the British Tommy in World War One, the British infantryman, because that's what his grandfather was. And,
Right.
And so, as a result, it ignored enormous aspects of the war. And so, I mean, there were as a guy with a history degree, it was interesting, but it didn't teach me much about World War One that I didn't already know. Let's put it that
Right.
way. But it did.
And as an American, it was less interesting than it would have been as say, an Englishman.
Agreed, and it did. It certainly did bring those soldiers to life, which was the goal. Elsie was particularly impressed by the fact that in the imagery you could see how young some of these soldiers were. The youngest Imperial soldier that was documented was 12 years old. He lied about his age.
12?
12.
Talk about child soldiers.
And there were plenty of 15 and 16-year-old children who lied about their age and volunteered to go and serve the entire 4 years of the conflict. So that was interesting. So it was a good film. I do recommend it. I recommend you see it on the BBC when it comes out in more widespread release. Don't know if there's a huge advantage to seeing it on the large screen, but it was quite entertaining nevertheless. The other film I saw, Netflix, I told you I was going to see the Alfonso Cuarón movie, Roma. Saw it.
How was it?
It was a piece of art. But as an entertainment, it was only moderately entertaining. Let's put it that way. So there you go. I mean, ultimately it followed this family's muchacha, which is to say their maid. And it was the story of their maid in the context of their life with the focus on the maid instead of the family. He made this film as a labor of love for his own muchacha growing up, with whom he's still in contact. But it just wasn't that damned entertaining. Frankly, it was very, very slow moving. It's shot in black and white, which also makes the action seem more slow moving oftentimes. And, if you'd like a slice of middle-class Mexican life, in Mexico City circa 1970 and 1971. There will never be another film made like it. Undoubtedly. Can't be beat. It's a beautiful piece of art. It's a beautiful film. Just don't expect to be on the edge of your seat for 2.5 hours. Make sense?
Gotcha. I bet that would be interesting from a collegiate course level.
Yeah, exactly. You could use it as a masterclass in filmmaking and cinematography, but as a masterclass in suspense, no. No. I mean, the characters are interesting, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's a slice of life. That's what it is. So I kind of felt the same way about Boyhood. Did you ever see the movie Boyhood?
No.
So they used the same actors and filmed it over 12 years. So the main character was a child of 7 years old when the film started, and he's a boy of 19 when the film ends, and he's the same kid. And all of the actors, they used all the same actors. They made the film over 12 years. You never saw that film?
No. It sounds fascinating, though.
Yeah, it's a Richard Linklater film. It's available on Netflix and other streaming services. And it's a good film, right? But the gimmick is that they used the same cast and made it over 12 years.
Right.
But again, this was another slow-moving film, slice of life, nothing really happening. It's just the kids grow up and, then they go off to college. It was this kind of movie. There was one piece of action in it, but again, I'm not going to give anything away. Go see it yourself if you want, but I did not find it to be the most entertaining film. And this, again, is the problem that you were getting back to, Nicholas. So hyped. Roma, so hyped that, you couldn't really, it could never live up to the hype.
Yeah. Yeah, that's happens with a lot of shit. A lot of games. It's notorious for happening in video games and movies.
It's true.
Media, entertainment.
Hey, you know what? In terms of games of the year, though, you've done Red Dead Redemption 2, Sarah. Did you think that is the game of the year?
Ooh, boy, I got that shit too. One of my friends.
I was gonna say yes, but I haven't played God of War, and that's what actually won. So Nick would be a better.
Do you want it? Do you have it? I have it.
I don't have it. I would love it.
Do you want it?
Hell yeah.
Okay, I'll get it for you. I just played through it again on the hardest.
I really like God of War.
Oh, this one is fucking insane because, and let me tell you, when I first got this game, I didn't. It's not shocking or surprising in the least to me that it got Game of the Year, but I didn't know that when I first got this game, and I was just fucking ranting and raving about it to everyone partly because I got a very long emotional investment in this series of games, right? The first God of War came out
when you were like 8.
Well, yeah, when we were both kids.
Yeah.
So, and all through God of War 1 through 3, you just see that the main character, Kratos, is a savage killer. Yeah. Savage. He had a family and a wife once, and he, in his bloodlust, was tricked into killing them. And then he had nothing to lose, and he's just a savage killer. But then, this one, it's hundreds of years later. He's getting old. He's got a fucking beard and shit. Mm-hmm. He's got a little kid. And now he's trying. This kid sometimes has anger problems, like his father. You know what I'm saying? And he can see he doesn't want this kid to grow up to fucking kill everyone in the world like he tried to do. So you can, like, Kratos gets angry because he's still a Spartan. Like, you know what I mean? He's still a bad motherfucker. But you can see throughout the game the dynamic of father and son. Him trying to teach his son to be better than he was. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because you're like, man, Kratos is a fucking savage. You hear this kid, like, asking him about shit and the way he has to water it down for him because he can't tell his son the shit that he's done. You know what I mean? And it's amazing, dude. The story is amazing. The father-son bond. You feel like a fucking dad playing that game. It's crazy.
Well, good.
So, in other words, you would say that the new God of War game was the game of the year.
And yes, I would. And that's not even speaking of the combat, which is fucking
here's the
bad.
thing. I really like Red Dead, but it's very mechanically intense.
Yeah.
And I'm a very casual gamer. I don't have time to be anything other than casual. So would you say that God of War is easier to pick up?
Yes.
And play?
Yeah, because you can shoot your horse in the head real easy on accident in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Fuck up a whole lot
or you can just you just try to talk someone and you all you want to do is talk to the fella, and then next thing you know, you just pulled your pistol out and shot him in the face.
I did that. Yep.
Okay.
There was a hostage situation where I was going to let the hostages live, and I was trying to convince them to get in the train car, and I shot one in the head instead. And I was like, oh, well, now you must all die.
Yeah, now you are gonna die. Okay, now you're evil because of some shit because you blundered on. No, ain't nothing like that in God of War. It can get like once you get more weapons and stuff, it can get complicated, but it's very slow build up. It's all comprehensive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, see, that kind of stuff is more my speed.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Red Dead. I think it's beautiful. I think it's very immersive, but it's hard to sit down and play it for 20 minutes.
Let me tell you what I would do if I played that game. I would get stuck in a saloon corner, and then I would shoot myself in the foot, and then I would quit. That's what would happen.
There are a couple bar fights.
Say that. I'm telling you, you've never we're all adults with jobs and shit, so I can't just sit down and spend a week teaching you how to play video games. But if I did, you would learn and you would like them.
Well, I don't doubt it. I like watching them. You know that. I've always liked watching them, but I've always found them too difficult to play. After Space Invaders, I was done, as it turns out. Sad.
No, you played that. You played Overlord. You beat that game before I did.
Oh, that's true. I guess that's true. Many years ago was that? Good Lord.
That was many years ago.
10,
that was PS2, wasn't it?
No, it was PS3.
Huh, I'll be.
But it was when the PS3 was brand spanking new.
Yeah, man. Wow, that was a long time ago.
10 years. 10 years.
I guess, and I did like Heavy Rain as well. That was one that I could play.
It's just got to be something that starts slow. There's some games that assume that you know
what the fuck
the fucking layout of the controller up and down, front to back, which, someone who plays all the time does. But other games, they fucking start it very slow, very basic. I wouldn't necessarily say that about God of War. I think you could play God of War, though, Dad.
You know what I think you should get, Dad?
What?
I think you should get a Switch.
We have one. And
how much do you play it?
Well, no, not very much at all. You know what, though? Thanks for bringing that up. We're going to play Mario Kart tonight. We're doing it. Or Smash Brothers. We got Smash.
Oh, you have Smash Bros, you motherfucker! I wanted that game so bad. I don't have a Switch.
I don't know.
You're right. I knew I should have gotten you a Smash Brothers for Christmas, and then just let you look at the cartridge.
Yeah, that would have been very nice of you.
Yeah, should have done that. Well, anyway, so I should be playing Smash Brothers, shouldn't I?
Yeah, or Mario Kart or God of War. You should play it. The thing about
God of War for the Switch, that'd be funny.
Well, not for the Switch, but you do have a PS4 there, don't you?
I do, yes.
Yeah, get the
game.
Whatever.
All right, okay, got it.
That's a lot of time, though. You know.
I don't have that kind of time.
A video game is an investment in time, but I'll bring it over for you, Sarah, and you should definitely play it, dude. Definitely.
All right.
It's crazy. And then, because your son is a little piece of shit at first,
right?
But
like most children.
Then you raise him.
He was raised by his mother. Like, you were always out hunting and shit. Mm-hmm. Like, you didn't really have much to do with raising the boy.
Yeah, because you were busy killing gods and titans.
Well, no, that was in the Greek pantheon. And then after you kill the entire Greek pantheon, you kill yourself. Supposedly, Kratos kills himself to release the power, because he absorbed the power of hope. That's how you kill gods. And then he's like, I'm going to give the power of hope to the people of Earth. And then Athena was like, no, they don't know how to use it and shit. He's like, fuck you. And then he just kills himself. And then the credits roll. That's the end of the third game. But then after the credits roll, the camera pans down to the cliff where he killed himself, and you just see a smear of blood going into the ocean. So he got away. And then, 300 years later, Kratos is now a fucking old bearded man. He's cut down this tree because his wife just died. You're the kid's mom. That's how the game starts. Is you're like gathering wood for her funeral pyre, and you're gonna go teach the boy how to hunt and shit. And she wanted her ashes spread on the highest mountain in all 9 realms. So that's what the whole point of the game is you and your son are gonna go spread
her ashes
on the highest mountain.
And in the meantime, you're going to kick a lot of ass, obviously.
Well, you're going to kick, but it's like at first the kid doesn't really know you that well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
and he's not a warrior yet. Yeah. So you teach him how to be a Spartan, and then by the end of the fucking game, he's still a little kid with a bow, but now you're both in sync. Like, he knows how to fight because he was taught by you, and it's fucking crazy. And you see the bond and shit.
Yeah. Well, it's just like it's just like what happened between you and me, son.
Yeah, when we went on that adventure in Norway back when I was 12 and you were 350, and we had to go to the highest peak in all the realms, but then it turned out that the highest in all the realms is not the one on Earth. So we had to go to a different dimension.
Yeah, remember
that one?
That was a good time. And you hated the adventure walks when I was a kid. Huh.
Yeah. Well, you look back
retrospect.
Yeah. So anyway, the third film that I saw was Struggle: The Life and Lost Art of Sukalski, who was a Polish sculptor who had a controversial period of time in his life during the 30s when he was a Polish nationalist and did a bunch of Polish nationalist art. But then the invasion of the Nazis kind of put an end to the Polish nation for a few years.
They were pissed about him about.
Yeah, and he escaped with his American wife back to America. But he had quite a career. And and he became, especially in his later years, dedicated to the concept that all humanity had a common ancestry and that, whatever anti-Semitism he might have entertained in his, in the 1930s, he certainly, World War II stamped that right out of him. So,
yeah. Once he saw like what real anti-Semitism is.
Yeah.
You want to talk about anti-Semitism? Let me show you how bad it could possibly get.
Exactly.
And he was like, okay.
Yeah, World War II did change him. And of course, the fact that he was locked out of Poland because, communists had no use for nationalists. But his art, he died in 1985 or 86. His art has since been appropriated by a new breed of Polish nationalists. And the thing about nationalism is that if we look historically, nationalism obviously has a very bad outcome.
Patriotism, not nationalism, people. Come on.
Well, that's the thing, right? The line can be fine.
Blurry.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. But anyway, I recommend that film. It's called Struggle: The Life and Art of Sukalski.
I saw a film 2 days ago now. It was Bird Box. Anybody see Bird Box?
No.
Is that the Sandra Bullock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not good.
Really?
Fucking...
It's like A Quiet Place, but supposed to be blindfolded or whatever.
Yeah, but instead of you can't hear or you can't talk, you can't look, which is fine. And it was good for a while. It's just suspenseful, right? But even in A Quiet Place, like you get to see the monster.
Mm-hmm.
In Bird Box, there's like these monsters, like that. If you look at them, you go fucking crazy and kill yourself, or you make other people look. And then the end.
And then
of the
everybody
world
kills
happened.
themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to fucking and then whatever. So through the whole thing, they're running from these monsters, and then you see the people see it, and they go all crazy or whatever. And I'm like, I better see this fucking monster by the end of the movie. I got to see what it looks like, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, you never do.
You know what I thought was
cop out.
You know what I thought was good for that was Arrival. Where you got to see the aliens, and they were like,
they were like
pods or whatever,
the squid things.
Yeah,
that was
and
cool.
In A Quiet Place, you saw the monsters too.
Mm-hmm.
Not at first. It waited till like the last quarter of the movie, but then you saw them. You're like, oh shit. You know what I mean? You didn't see Dick in Bird Box. You just saw leaves rustling. You would see leaves rustling. And I made a joke the whole movie, like, oh, it's the leaves. The Revenge of the Leaves. But really, that is all you saw. Was the leaves. And they just pan to the person's face looking. And fucking eyes would turn a different color. They go all crazy. Which is fine. But I'm like, okay, I want to see this fucking monster by the end of the movie.
And you never did.
Never did. And then they go to the sanctuary, and it's a school for the blind, and it's all hunky-dory. And she has 2 children in this time. Like, she's pregnant when the world starts to end. Oh, shit.
And then she has another one?
Well, she's pregnant when the world starts to end, and then she's holed up in this place with another pregnant chick.
Got it.
So the implication is that woman dies and she takes care of both of their children.
Well, there is no implication. She definitely does die. She jumps. She throws. They let this guy into their house, and he appears to be normal,
but he's not.
One of the fucking psychos.
Yeah.
He saw whatever it was. So like he lets them all get comfortable, and then he like starts ripping the fucking papers off the windows and opening all the shit and
and
all that. So the lady dies. So then it's just Sandra Bullock and her love interest. Running to a new place.
And her love interest obviously also dies. Not to spoil it.
Yeah, of course he does. And it's a boy and a girl. And guess what their names are?
Sandra and Bullock.
No, that would have been better. Boy and girl. That's what she named them.
I can only imagine what Uncle Guy would have to say to that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But I'm like, there was no significance to her naming them boy and girl. Like that's never addressed.
Right.
Just never
just comes out.
Yeah, it just happens that way. And I'm like, what? Why? The fuck? I don't know.
Well, so if you're going to spend some time on Netflix, I recommend Struggle. Don't recommend Bird Box. I've shied away from Bird Box because I did not believe the hype. A lot of this made-for-Netflix stuff is just not good.
Yeah.
That's the problem. They have valued quantity over quality in many cases. You can find great stuff on Netflix, but, man, you got to pick through a lot of straw to get to a needle.
Yeah, you're right.
So
That's why I let you guys do that for me.
Right. We work hard, so you don't have to.
Someone's got to do it.
You know what it's time for? It's time for sports. So here's what's happening in college football. Clemson destroyed Notre Dame 30-3, and Alabama started out destroying Oklahoma, but ended up beating them 45-34 at an 11-point comfortable margin of victory. And so it's all set up. The table is set for Clemson versus Alabama, number 4.
That'll be a game.
Yeah, that'll be a game. I mean, you could have predicted this back in August, right? With a high degree of accuracy. So
I feel like we did.
Yeah, indeed we did. How exciting. Alabama's going to be in the national championship. Yawn.
Yeah.
So in other sports news, final day of the regular season in NFL football. So the playoffs are going to start next week. Some playoff stuff's going to be decided today. But one thing's for sure on the NFC side, that the New Orleans Saints have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. The last time they had home field advantage throughout the playoffs, they won the Super Bowl. So who's to say if it'll happen again, but it sure could. Okay.
Very exciting.
That's it. So what about UFC? Anything happening there on that front?
So John Jones and Alex Gustafson fought again last night.
Wait a minute. Hold on. John Jones?
Yeah.
The guy who's been suspended multiple times and hit and run, and that John Jones? He's still fighting? They're still letting him back?
Yep.
Okay. So did he do some sort of penance?
Kinda. I mean, he was suspended for a year or two.
All right, but he's back. John Jones is back. Okay.
And he won.
What a surprise. That guy's
pretty
a monster. He's a monster. Great
Which was
fight.
very fucking disappointing. I wanted Gustafson to win badly. Because there was some they drug tested John Jones like a week before the fight, and there was an atypical finding. So they had to move it from Las Vegas to California on a week's notice. Because the commissioner in Nevada was like, all right, well, there's something up with your test, so we need to sit down and figure this out, and we'll let you know here in a couple of days.
And that was
UFC was like, no, we don't have a couple of days. Like, this fight's in a week, so if you're not going to do it, then we'll just move it to California, where they won't ask no questions.
Yeah, and they did.
And they did, and then John Jones won. Now, there's been a lot of people fucking, like Joe Rogan had some guy who works for USADA come in and explain the science about why it's probably okay that he has this very, very minuscule amount of steroids in his body.
Yeah.
But it's fishy.
Right.
It's fishy. There's been plenty of fighters who had never had issues like this.
Yeah, so almost all of them.
Yeah, so I'm not. So I don't want to be the guy that's like, oh, John Jones only won against Gustafson because he's on steroids, but there is a possibility that is the case.
Yep, it sounds like it is a possibility, but we won't know because ultimately that drug test investigation probably won't wrap up until, sometime down the road. But it does seem clear to me that UFC is really falling into a trap here with, do they really lack talent that much that they got to go back to the John Jones well? I mean, I like John Jones. He's a great fighter, but he's not playing by the rules. He's got a significant substance abuse and performance-enhancing drug issue. I think that's clear.
Yeah, that's a fact. And a lot of people have said, oh, well, sometimes it's in the fucking supplements you use and it's in the food. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. Okay, maybe. But there's been so many champions who never had a single fucking problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They ate whatever the fuck they want. They took whatever fucking supplements they wanted, and it was all gravy.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It doesn't make sense at all.
Doesn't jive with me.
No.
Now, also in the main card, Amanda Nunes fought Chris Cyborg.
Oh man, that was a good fight.
Okay.
Now, Chris Cyborg, this is for bantamweight?
Yes.
The bantamweight belt. They were both champions. Chris Cyborg was the champion of the bantamweight, and Nunes was the one right below.
Flyweight, I think.
Flyweight, yeah, that sounds right.
135 and 145. So
yeah.
So Cyborg had the weight advantage.
But Nunes. See, the thing is Nunes. If she's coming up a weight class, that
Then
means she's not
cut.
cutting weight. You know what I mean?
And Cyborg is still cutting weight.
Cyborg is still cutting weight.
Okay.
I think
so
they
if you
said
have to cut weight to fight, you're at a disadvantage versus someone who just walks around at that weight.
I'm pretty sure they said that Cyborg had to come down from 180 to 145.
Holy cow. That's a lot of weight.
Crazy.
That's a lot.
That's
of weight.
not healthy. You're not fighting at your prime.
I think her. Well, but she's the champ of that weight class.
Well, she is, but I'm just saying, like you're not fighting at your most efficient. If you're cutting 40 pounds,
Yeah.
when you're training at 180, but you fight at 140, you're used to training at 180.
Well,
So when you dehydrate the fuck out of yourself and make yourself 140 for this fight, you're not fighting at your peak performance.
Right.
You're just not. It's that simple. So anyway, but the point is, Cyborg was the most. She was hailed as the most feared woman in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, that's
Yeah. And she was fucking. I mean, she was the champ. And then, but Amanda Nunes was like,
Is that her name? Amanda?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But Amanda Nunes was like, if I hit her, I'm gonna knock her out. I have the power. Like I can tell if I hit her, I'm going to knock her out. And I wanted Nunes to win, but I didn't really see it happen.
Yeah.
But within the first 45 seconds, she knocked Cyborg the fuck out.
wow. In 45 seconds?
It
Unbelievable.
was within the first round, like under a minute.
Like,
Nunes is really impressive.
They like the
Well, I
bell
would say so.
They touched gloves. They got in there. They started swinging, and they both tagged each other up good. They both kind of dropped a couple times.
Yeah.
But then fucking Nunes just
Pushed
knocked her the
through.
fuck out.
Yeah.
Yep. Shouldn't have gone toe to toe with Amanda Nunes, is what it sounds like to me.
It was
Yeah.
close. I thought at first that there was a moment, 20 seconds in or so, where Cyborg had Nunes.
Stunned?
Yeah. And I thought that she was going to get her, but she recovered nicely and then went on to win.
Came back and rocked the Casbah.
Well,
yeah.
as it were. So, that's interesting. Now, who has beaten Amanda Nunes?
That's a good question. It's no one recently.
Yeah. So she's the
Sure.
She is the biggest news then is she is the first female to have 2 belts in the UFC.
And the third person ever to have
after
2 belts.
Conor McGregor
And Daniel Cormier.
yeah. So that's impressive. Very impressive. Who's next? Who will take on the Amanda Nunes challenge?
I don't know. Someone will, obviously. Someone's going to step up to the plate. But if everyone was scared of fucking Cyborg and she put Cyborg's dick in the dirt like that, then,
Yeah, so to
it
speak.
stands to reason that there's going to be some hesitation.
She has 17 wins and 4 losses.
That's pretty good.
So let's see. Let's look at her fight history.
Yeah, as you're looking at that, I have a suggestion for an opponent. And you might say, well, she's too old, she's too slow, she's had some losses. But I say the preacher's daughter, Holly Holm.
No, I don't think Holly Holm's too slow or too old. People like to hate on Holly Holm. I don't fucking know why. But hey, guess what? She was a international, 29-time kickboxing champion before she ever stepped foot in the UFC.
Yeah,
She was a bad bitch long before she knocked Ronda Rousey. Or she didn't knock her out. She choked her out, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
Pretty sure she choked her out.
No, I'm not sure. It's a TKO. TKO, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. So she just beat her into submission.
She did beat her into
regardless.
Well,
submission.
Misha Tate, she got rear naked choke on. So she choked Misha Tate out.
Who, Nunes or?
Nunes.
Okay, yeah. But to go off what you were saying some more, no, I don't think Holly Holm is done. I don't think she's anyone to be trifled with for sure. It's no one to be underestimated.
So, therefore, would you
If
say
she's
that?
fighting anyone? Well, so are you saying Holly Holm versus Nunes? Who's
Yeah.
going to win that one?
Yeah. No, I'm saying that would be a good. That'd be a good fight. I'd like to see that.
Would be a
fight.
fantastic fight. I don't know if they're in the same weight class.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Holly Holm fought Ronda Rousey at bantamweight.
Yeah, you're right.
I am right. I don't know that much about UFC, but I know that much.
She is,
don't know.
Holm challenged Cyborg for the featherweight championship last year, December
Yeah.
30th.
And Cyborg beat her, but they went 5 rounds, as I recall.
So
That was a decision.
yeah, that's featherweight.
So if we're doing power scaling here, it would stand to reason that if Cyborg beat Holm, but Nunes beat Cyborg, then that Nunes would beat Holm.
That's
When's
what
the last time Holm fought?
I don't know. I mean, it's been a while. I have not seen
She might
her.
not be
I
doing
feel
UFC.
like-
She could be somewhere else. She could be ONE FC or Bellator. I don't think. Nah,
I feel like she fought somebody that I watched.
She might be in Bellator now.
Hard to say. But one thing's for sure, that Amanda Nunes is going to face some interesting competition. Making that fight will be, I think, a big payday for whoever gets the fight with her. And I will look forward to that probably in about 6 to 8 months.
It was crazy. It was like, they came out swinging and they were fucking hitting each other with the bombs. Like, no, you've never seen Cyborg get knocked out like that. She's the most feared woman in the UFC.
Yeah, she's bad.
Went in there and made her look kind of like a punk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, congratulations to Amanda Nunes. And congratulations.
No, there's no Enye.
To Cyborg also.
There's no Enye. It's Nunes.
Nunes. Okay. Well, yeah. Escoban. All right. Anyway. So, yeah.
I have no idea. I'm looking at her fight record. I don't know any of these people that she lost to. She's currently on an 8-fight streak.
Awesome.
Win streak.
She's a bad woman. So, all right. Baddest woman.
She hasn't lost since 2014.
Baddest woman in the UFC right now, Amanda Nunes. Congratulations, Amanda. Well done. All right. Anything else, kids? Resolutions. Real quick. New Year's resolutions, any?
Keep up the fitness really is my New Year's resolution.
That's a good
maybe not go quite as hard. We were talking and
we need to go harder.
I need rest, dude. 2 workouts a day.
Rest. That's what your brain is telling you. Your brain's tricking you right
3
now.
hours a day is too much. I need a week or two to
Okay, 1 week. We'll get 1 week and then we got to get back on it.
We will discuss this offline.
Right, fine. I'm trying to do we can take time off. That's fine. But just think if we don't, then
here's the thing is that I plan on still working out and that kind of stuff. I need to not go so hard for a little bit.
But if you did until
I'm gaining weight. My calories are all fucked up. My nutrients are all fucked up. I need to take time to recalibrate.
Got to have balance. The most important thing is diet. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Putting less in your mouth.
That shit back under control.
Yeah, but if we exercise.
You can't exercise your way past your mouth. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Well, no, but you can't dispute the fact that exercising on a regular basis is good for your overall endurance.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
And I agree with that.
And the higher your endurance is, the higher intensity workouts you can do for longer periods of time. And when you do that over weeks and weeks, and I'm not just saying every single fucking day.
I know, but I need to.
There's a point of diminishing returns, though. I mean, you can get as much out of eating 1,500 calories a day and taking a 50-minute walk as you can eating 4,000 calories a day and working out for 3 hours.
Well, yeah, you're right. If your calorie intake is important in all this, I guess, if you're trying to lose weight, but I'm just trying to get in shape. Like I'm trying to get cut.
Well, still eating the right things is important. You got to manage it all.
Yeah, I know. I'm not disputing that. I'm saying that we need to not stop working out as hard as we can.
Well, that sounds like a good resolution for you.
Well, but I'm not going to do it if it's not a competition. Like the only thing that drives me is the fact that I could win. I'm not winning anything if I'm the only one doing it.
Huh. Give me 2 weeks and then we can start again.
Fine.
Well, that's between you two. Any other resolutions for you, Nick, besides whipping your sister's ass in this competition?
Hey, he's not winning right now.
I'm not winning. Well, I will after today.
Then
I'll be beating you for sure.
Maybe. You're currently, son, you're 450 points behind me.
All right.
As of right now, before the workout I did this morning.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. This has turned into a real, competitive slugfest here. But in any event, any other resolution?
Also say another awesome video game.
Yes.
Spider-Man. New Spider-Man game.
Oh yeah. I was going to ask you how you liked it.
Fucking awesome. Thanks very much for that.
Okay, good. And Merry Christmas, by the way.
Merry Christmas.
Okay. All right. Well, kids, I hope
what about you?
Oh, resolutions?
Yeah.
Yeah. Stay employed. Keep some of the weight off. The usual. Don't get fired. That's those are big ones for me. Continuing the pod.
I think I'm going to try to
That's
knit
a resolution.
this year.
Make something? Like
knit.
Oh yeah, I think you should.
I crochet. I want to try knitting.
Yeah.
I want to knit one thing this year.
I think knitting is a good idea. I want to keep this pod going. It's good. It's going to get better.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we sure are.
Make sure you put the season in the iTunes.
We also have less than a minute. I'm just going to.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to bounce and Merry 2018 or something like that. Happy 2018. Hope it was a good one for you all. And 2019, the best is yet to come. I'm convinced of that. And thus concludes the inaugural season of A Shinn Show, brought to you by Ziff's, a fine dining establishment in Invercargill, New Zealand, and the Throne Room. Outstanding tattoos in the same location.
What do you do when your knees hurt when you run?
A Shinn Show is a production of Shinfluence and features the voices and opinions of the Shinn family. You can catch it on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Yeah, I don't know what you do with your knees. When your knees hurt, what you should do probably is run less.